Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about my Sprinter van that I converted over a year ago now. I've had a lot of questions, mainly about the bed, but also different parts of the conversion. And in this video I'm going to sort of go over the top 10 questions. Then at the end of the video I have a whole section basically focusing on the bed and how I made the bed. So if you're interested in the bed, keep listening. So some of the simple questions, I'll just go through a few of them now and we'll try and answer them as they come through. These are all from the comments section on YouTube, so if there's some questions I've missed, just put a comment on YouTube and I'll try and answer it. So first question is from Linda. She's saying, what type of insulation did you use? Looks like you carpet lined it. Did you use plywood underneath? Yes, I did use plywood underneath. And if you've got a website where I can buy all the carpet. So for the insulation, I actually used silver foil bubble wrap, but then afterwards I realized that this is no good, and instead I switched it to Armorflex, which is the same kind of insulation they use on submarines. It's really good, easy to apply. I will put a link in the description below so you can buy it. And the carpet line, I would just, for carpet, I'd just Google it and you'd find places near you that you can buy the carpet. eBay is a popular choice and you can get it on a roll, basically. And the plywood panels, yeah, I used 6mm ply underneath the carpet. I don't actually like using carpet, but it's very easy to cover all the scratches on the bodywork and it covers things up nicely. But I like the wooden look as well, but on this particular van I did the carpet. Next question. Hi, I like the fridge. Where can I get one? I'm doing a high top from Brian. So the fridge is actually a 41 litre Infill B top loading fridge which has a compressor. So again, I'll put that in the description where you can get it. The compressor is really good because it's efficient. So unlike your absorption fridges, which run on, they would be 12 volt, but they're quite inefficient. So they'd use a lot of power, whereas because this has a compressor, so like a proper fridge you'd have at home, it's actually, you can get a lot of usage out of the fridge before the battery starts to run down. So on my Sprinter, I had a 100-watt solar panel on the roof, which would charge a 75 amp hour battery, and then that would run the fridge, and that could actually go on forever. I also be able to charge like phones and things, bits and pieces, when I'm plugged in. So that worked really well. So I recommend a top loading fridge. It does have a basket inside. There's not much option for storing, your items in different areas. So some people prefer the front opening fridge, but for this particular layout, I wanted the top loading fridge, mainly for the efficiency. Next question. Is this really the largest Sprinter you can stand up in and still fit into a parking space? So that's a great question. I really like that I got the medium wheelbase because I can fit it into a sort of standard car parking space just. So it's 5.6 meters long, and this is the old model which they made up until 2003. After 2003, Mercedes made a longer van which was 6 meters. That was still the medium wheelbase, and the load space is pretty much the same. It's just got a bigger front end, so the storage is the same. You can get a long wheelbase, but that's definitely not going to fit in the space, so I wouldn't bother with that. So yeah, for me the medium wheelbase was just perfect. Another question, why don't you combine the Infill top with the table? So this is referring to the bed system. That is a really good idea, and my Infill section, the large board that I use to put between the two beds, that's actually got holes inside it, and the holes are there basically to stop the moisture building up underneath the foam and mold growing. Also keep the weight down as well. Those were the two kind of factors, because birch ply, I made the beds out of birch ply, is really tough. I use 15mm birch ply, and when I first made the bed, I actually made the whole thing out of MDF to check the mechanism works, but we'll get onto that a bit later on. So yeah, it's a great idea. I could definitely, if you had maybe a solid panel in the middle, and then 2 extra panels, so you had an infill section cut into 3, you could use the tabletop, but I actually liked having it in one piece, because the idea is that for my use, we'd have the double bed set up permanently pretty much, and then you'd have surfboards would slide underneath, and that's how it would work for us. Next question. Where do the boards go? Yes, the boards go under the bed. What type of Sprinter is that? What model? So yeah, it's a Mercedes Sprinter medium wheelbase, and it's, like I said before, it's pre-2003. The model of mine was a 208, but they also do a 308, a 311 and a 313. So mine was like the base model, but it was previously a disabled minibus, and it's fine for my needs. Like, we're not carrying that much weight in it, so really happy with that. Can you share where you got the brackets from the seating, please? So this is referring to how I installed the seats into the back of the van. So the seats, the fixing for the seat is really important. I've got a little model here. It's just a bit of cardboard that I cut out, which shows this is the seat. That's it in the seating position. So this is the part that rotates and lifts up, and it flips up like this basically, and there's the aluminium on the front, so it rotates down. It rotates around a bolt, so it's basically 15mm plywood, and the bed section will pivot. Then when that goes down, I'll just add on the spacer board to go in between, and that'll make a large double bed. The hardest part of this cantilever bed system is the forces involved. So if you fix the side and the bottom to the van, there's actually quite a lot of force wanting to make it tip forward. So you've got to make sure that the fixing to the side of the van, so where it's fixed, is really solid. So you want to make sure you're into the metalwork of the van, because there's a lot of force going through this, especially when you consider there's an infill section and there could be weight in the middle, wanting both ends to tip in. So what I did was I got some 5mm bar essentially, and bent it to 90 degrees, and I made brackets that run along the edge of this. So I used self-tapping screws to go into the metalwork to give it a secure fixing. You could use nut rivets as well, be even better. So that's how I installed it into the side. Like I said before, the construction's really simple for the bed. Just if you want to make this bed, the easiest way to do it is probably just get some cardboard, get two large pieces like this, and cut them to shape, put them inside your van, then just put a hole through where the pivot needs to be, and you'll be able to find where is a good place for the pivot, so that when it's down, it's horizontal. And then I actually wanted it to slightly go beyond vertical, so it would tilt back, and I'd store the bedding inside here basically, with the mattress for the bed here, and then the backrest for the bed would then come to be the infill section. The two parts would go together, and that would make the large double bed. So yeah, I'd make a cardboard template first, so you know it's going to work, and the pivot is going to be in the correct location. So another question from Sam. I like the open space and flexibility. The bench system is very interesting to me. Do you have plans for it? Would you make a video on it, how it works? What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make another van conversion, which is going to show how I converted my new van, which would be an electric Nissan EMV200, which I've got a range test on currently on YouTube, so you could check that out. And I'll be converting that. It's much smaller, so I'm going to make like a really space efficient, try and make the most use of the vehicle. And the bed is I'm going to use a similar mechanism, but because it's a smaller van, the bed is going to have to be smaller, but I still want to use the flip down idea of the bed system, so I can actually use it for moving lots of stuff around basically. So got some comments about there's no toilet in the van. So that's actually intentional. I didn't want to put a toilet in there because we just stayed on campsites. However, you could easily add a toilet inside that van. Maybe not like a shower cubicle with a toilet. There's just not enough room in the medium wheelbase with my layout. But if you had long wheelbase, you could put like a shower unit down at the end. That would be perfect. Or you could, in this current wheelbase, you could put like porta potty with a cover on top of it and just tuck it under one of the seats, or it could go in the kitchen unit, but it would take up a lot of room, possibly behind the driver's seat as well, in its own little box. So there's no room for a shower in my design, but you could have an outside shower just to rinse off after surfing. That would be fine. So that's it basically for all the question and answers. I hope I've answered most of them, and I'm excited to say that my next video should be, conversion work on the electric Nissan EMV 200. So like I said before, it's a much smaller vehicle, but I'm really excited to get that one going, and I can't wait to show you what it's going to look like, so stay tuned.